DoD's home map, Megalopolis. That's a map that they actually prefer and like to play, as in the olden ages they played it as their home map, so they are returning to that. And we'll be seeing Loki, Thor, Isis from DoD's and Double Zeus, Oranos again from TSM. So the first to have a look at on the left bottom are the DoDs, and this map is specific for the fact that all three players start very close to each other, and then the TCs are uneven. I think they are, if I remember correctly, they are not exactly 2 TCs for each of the players. You just have some at the back, but then in the middle it's kind of random. But looking at it now, 1, 2, 3, yeah, it's exactly like that. And it seems like TSM actually won the lottery here, and they have a few more TCs next to them with a lot of hunt. Just looking at the darkness here, and that's the specific of this map. So it seems like Rangers, rather DoDs altogether, will have to go for a bit of an aggressive build, as they will need to go into the offensive here. They are right now not aware of what's going on the map, and well, starting with their positions, well, Rangers is having quite a lot of hippos, and that's going to be the theme for absolutely everybody. You start with hippos and some chickens, and let's look some extra scouting. Brigade is going for a back scouting, already discovering some extra monkeys together with lions and berries, so that's actually not half bad spot, even though they are low food. That's quite a lot of sources here, so not really half bad. If you need some extra safe at the back, well, but otherwise I don't really see anything extra special. Just some extra monkeys in the front as well, and a bit of a gold here and there. So let's see how that will go for them. Switching to the TSM side, we see, well, that's kind of unfortunate, because to properly use this gold you will need to actually mine, or pick those berries, because they would block you quite a lot, so that's unfortunate spawn. Don't really want to see all that often, and let's just have a look at the first relic that we see here. That's better toxots and whatnot hit points. Well, not half bad considering they have 2 Zeuses on their team and some very nice rhinos on the right side. Otherwise, this is just a standard start for everybody. Yep, normal map, a lot of chickens, triple hippos, and that's about it. Some extra hunt at the back for a player. Well, he is just now discovering that he has also quite a lot of rhinos at the back, so not bad map at all. Not bad map at all. Another relic in the middle here, that's better LOS and range, which is also pretty great, and really for anybody it could be pretty powerful in Mythical Age for Ballistae for the North, so Loki might be interested in it, and Thor as well. I'm kinda curious what kind of strategy the DoDs have for this. I would expect a faster heroic from Rangers to actually somehow control what's happening in the middle of the game, while both Brighead and Killer Boy will be going for some early harass and try to keep TSMs from booming indiscriminately. Right now TSMs are discovering how the map is looking, and they are going for some forward hunt, especially Fan here as a pocket, but well, pocket, since they are so close together it doesn't really matter who is who. And on the right side we see that Sensui is trying to go for offensive scouting at this point, but he is already having a spy on his oracle, which is a thing you don't really see all that often. Usually you see a spy being cast on some villies like food and such when you try to raid, but this time the DoDs are going for the oracle so that they see where Sensui is actually trying to raid, which is kinda clever because they want to have as perfect start as they can. I have noticed some other relics, so here that's Spear's attack for Archer Ballista, so this is kinda really themed. All 3 relics we have seen so far targeted at the archers. And better village of wood and gold gather rates. Well, pretty sweet indeed. Right now Killer Boy is complaining about the wood line. Sorry. And to be completely honest, it's not great. I have to agree with him, but it's not all that bad either. Since they are the aggressive gods here, and they have something at the back, I wouldn't really call this map all that bad. But yeah, could have went slightly better, but it won't really make the difference in this game, I think. Player is already having a tempo together with Fan at the same spot, and when Fan is already advancing 60% through, so he'll be pretty fast, like 430. And well, player is right now going for a second Hermes, and now he's looking for Sensui, who is already 70% into Prometheus. Advancements for Killer Boy, he's going for standard Loki build order, second temple being built already 60% into Forseti, and his teammates Brighead 40% into Freya, and well 25% into Bast is for Rangers right now as an ISIS. At the back, player is right now seeing how map looks for his opponents, so he knows where to potentially raid and whatnot. But he doesn't really see any VDC yet, but if he goes a bit further, he will see that Brigade is right now trying to make use of this bountiful food spot at the back of their bases. He's also using his goats pretty nicely to actually scout the whole map, and well, he will be maybe going into the left to discover how bountiful this giraffe's herd actually is. Otherwise, he's just gathering at this back as well. And well, this seems like Brigade will be trying to make sure that he knows what's happening with this TC, but with player going there, kinda expecting he will be sending some extra mythical units or whatnot to take it down quite soon. He is also going for a second TC. So far by himself, Fan is not going for anything, he's just still gathering, but he better be careful, as Rangers is having quite a near line of sight and potentially can go for it. Killer Boy is already going into the left, joining with some extras as well, and they have just got Fan's Centaur here, and yeah, the Valkyrie from Brigade should be killing it, because she has 5.5 against just a 5 speed, and that's it. 2 hits with the spear, and goodbye Centaur for Fan, and no scouting for you anymore. Just with the Kataskopos on the left, which is just 1 health, as it so happens, so no good luck for you either. Brigade is still making use of his Ulfsark near this hunting spot, and since Black player was surprised and wasn't counting with it at all, he has lost one of those willies, but otherwise he is not going to suffer anything at all. Maybe just the Valkyrie will make an appearance there together with some extra red Hersiers. Killer Boy himself though has to be careful, because he has just 2 Hersiers guarding all his food willies. He has 7 food willies here in a pretty bad spot, and player is going to help there, or is he not? He's arriving just a bit too late to actually join in the fight, which means that Sensui has to retreat, as he doesn't have enough army to stop this, especially if some mythical units join the fight. But even though he has heroes, yeah, the extra Hersiers, the numbers will just win it for Killer Boy. Otherwise, you can see that all dots are actually building quite a lot of walls, trying to make sure that they are not raided at all. And well, so far, it seems like armory for Rangers, and it will be found faster heroic from him. And Killer Boy right now saying that player is booming, because he has all his units on the left, all his attacking units on the left, and well, Valkyrie here as well, so that's pretty good spot for raiding at this point. And player has to be careful so that he doesn't lose units needlessly. He's also well aware of the food getting at the bottom, where he was trying to pick off some of those willies by his Centaur, which so far has resulted in just a few damage into him, but disrupting them and making them not gather anything at all. So Killer Boy is trying to find some better spot, as Fan is capturing, or rather Sensu is capturing second TC as well, and he will probably be found out soon enough. But he won't, as these Hersiers have to return back and get a shot at those wood gathering guys and gals. At the same time, though, player is well booming indiscriminately without too much problems, even without too many problems, even though he doesn't have enough food to actually supply production from both TCs. But Fan is having quite a large army of Hypicons at this point, so he is in a pretty good position to defend his teammate, and this might be the strategy that TSM are right now using. Just having Fan defend player, and he will boom into faster mythic. At the same time, Sensui on the right is doing damn well against his opponent Killer Boy, because Killer Boy is having a lot of armies in the attack. Some Hersiers on the left, some on the right, and well, literally nothing in his home base, which is a huge risk at this point, because Sensui is with virtually everything in there, and Killer Boy asking for the help as much as he can, because, yep, he can do absolutely nothing. So this will be up to Brigade as a pocket at 2 TCs also, to defend his teammate against the onslaught from Sensui. Otherwise, on the left of the map, which is right now important, that Rangers is securing the gold in the middle, and also Kara half securing this TC as well. But Fan is going into the right spot, and he is going just exactly where he thought that the that this Miguel is going to be, and well, pretty good job at that. Maybe he was aiming at the back for the Kataskopos, but he somehow found out where the Miguel is, but he doesn't have enough army against this Scorpion man together with the priests to actually stop this from coming up, so he gave up and went for some better spot. Sensui has lost Willy here to some Red Radiant, which is a pretty good job, and well, Sensui needs to be a bit more careful with his army, which he is, as he is building in his base, and try to keep the situation contained, and at the same time wait with his army at the right spot to attack into his opponents when they are away with all of their armies. Brigade was halfway away from his base, but not anymore. He just returned at the right moment to actually capture what is happening here for Sensui, and well, they are just complaining about lag, and even though we don't see it here, it can be happening for the players as the observer mode somehow doesn't see it all that much, from my experience at least. Well, right now it seems like DoDs are heavy turtling at this point, and the play will be through Rangers, who will be the one to actually capture some TCs and map presence, and advancing into Mythic to be in the beast mode through an ISIS and having more TCs than his opponents to make up for the potential problems. The early battles going not so well for DTs of Death. Very nice raid in here from Fen, who will find some extra release on the bottom here, and Brighead is not paying attention at this point, and since Fen is at the right spot, he knew where they were, because player was already scouting here a bit earlier. He will kill some of those Willies, and even though he might lose the army to those mythical units, he will still at least put some damage into those guys and disrupt the food gathering altogether, which is very valuable for him at this point. Since player has been free to boom without any problem, he is already having medium Hippicons, which is a slight problem for Rangers, because this is a pretty good unit against the composition that Rangers has right now, and that's Chariots, Archers together with Priests, and unless, or rather until he has enough Elephants, that's going to be the army to take him down. Yep, they are just saying that they are trying to actually trap Fen's army, which they are attempting to do so, but not really all that successfully, and they know right now TSMs where all the gold willies are, and this should result in Sensui actually making an appearance from the bottom, which he is right now, and that's a pretty good job, because all the armies just now disengaged the mythical units from Rangers, and Fen is taking every red unit to the left away from those gold willies, and they are right now getting killed without Killer Boy really paying all that much attention. He's just hoping he can finish fast with the armory and potentially kill them through the DC with some proper micro. Rangers is going for some radiant with this Chariot Archers, which is a pretty good idea, as it's the one thing that can help him and his teammates in actually making sure that the enemy army has to take care of them and retreats and is not attacking them. And here we see an attempt at taking down the TC from Sensui by the Ancestors, which is a damned good play and will probably result in TC down, unless... Oh, here he is! Jason and Odysseus. That's actually not half bad, but with Chariots here, they could be able to single out the heroes. So they are giving up and probably just letting the TC get killed and not trying to engage at this point. So yeah, they are not trying to do anything, and this will result in some proper attack from DTs of Death, because Rangers is moving with some extra mythical units into the fight as well. Still half minute under the Eclipse, and well, Brighead is joining with some extra raiding cavalry, although they are kinda half dead, so it just takes for Sensui to turn back and just slaughter them on the spot there. He's also still doing a pretty good job at the back, where Killer Boy has just finished gathering the gold from the gold mine and still not moving anywhere, as right now he is fully engaged in the battle and trying to micro as much as he can, and he is through Bragge, so he is the second one, yep, after Rangers. And Brigade is trying to take a 30C, so well, TSMs better be careful so that the train doesn't run away from them with the TCs, as they are being captured all over the map, and they are going for DoDs right now, as Rangers is taking third near his base as well, and he is trying to make sure that this TC stays free, and it will be probably an attempt here made to actually take it for himself. He's trying to make some kind of army on the left, while at the same time still trying to raid some gold villies of Sensui, but since Sensui has everything home, that's not going to happen anytime soon. With no army to support this frontal attack, or rather raiding, Sensui should be recapturing the TC without too much trouble, although without too much trouble. Stop that! Killer Boy and Brigade are actually arriving at the battle scene, but will they be enough? Sensui has all his army here, Ben as well, but he isn't upgraded into mediums. But Killer Boy is saying that he has no gold at this point, even though at the back he has quite a lot of gold mines here, right next to the TC that is right now capturing. So yeah, that's that. And they cast Ceasefire to actually make sure that Sensui isn't disrupted when building the TC. Player was also attacking from the left, but he wasn't having a pretty good position because he would have to go through the walls, which wasn't anything to go by. Those villies were pretty much safe, but he knows where the market is probably at this point, and those villies are going to the left. I'm not exactly sure why they are going to the left and not to the right. Haven't they scouted maybe? Maybe those haven't scouted at the back, and this is scouting from TSMs. I'm not exactly sure why he wouldn't otherwise go for this gold, but he didn't. This is really curious. We'll probably see after the game from the Reds, but this is quite interesting as Killboy is having quite a lot of piggies at this point, and they might be getting ready to go for some TC raiding. So yeah, better keep an eye on that. I'm also interested if somebody is maybe going for an advance into Mythic. So far it doesn't seem so, and well, dots are kinda owning the middle of the map. But they are not going into Mythic anywhere, and this is still some raiding going on, and trying to make sure that the player is not securing the TCs at the back. Even though Forest Fire has been cast, and this raiding cavalry will die altogether. The player might be interested in going for some of the TCs, but he is through Hera. Okay, so no Hephaestus. That's a bit of a surprise, and well, Brigade is trying to capture the TC, which he shouldn't, because TSMs, or rather DoDs, don't have any ceasefire, but they better be careful, as they need to steal micro and not let themselves be surprised. But still, Sensui has enough army here. But those wars, they are a problem, and this might result in a very successful steal of Brighead. And that will be a bit of a downside and a problem for TSM player, who is right now in Mythic. But not still going for some extra TCs, which is very curious, just playing it on 2 TCs. And Killer Boy having second, third TCs, and well, they are expanding into the middle. And the TSMs are not responding at all. They are just hoping that they can actually overpower their opponents at the mythical age with their Zeuses, I think. This was really at the last moment and going into Hephaestus, so both Zeuses are into mythic, so threat alert is right now at DEFCON 5 or 1. I don't know, doesn't matter. It's a problem though. And Killer Boy is in the battle, and will he cast flaming weapons? This is a pretty good spot for it. I see plenty good power, but player is finally joining in the fun, trying to make sure that, yep, this battle is not lost, but this will result in actually Rangers joining the fun and maybe going in an attempt onto the left TC. He's going with some extra army, not just VDC yet, but I definitely think he has an eye on this TC here on the left that is not being captured by player, who is going for the safe one on the minimap. So this TC is not going to be stolen, at least not now. At least not now, and otherwise, do we see some interesting dots on the minimap? I just am curious about this birdie, who is trying to make sure that he sees what's happening, and he will probably result in some underworld passage to this spot. It would be pretty bad, as it would disrupt both trading and gold gathering for Brighead at the same time. So I will be just starting to get curious about some extra upgrades. TSM player won't be getting the Forge of Hephaestus, of course, so he will be a bit slower in getting some extra upgrades, but Fen should be already getting them, and he is going with some extra release and trying to make sure that the TC is his and is not stolen by his enemies. But Rangers at the same time is moving on onto the left side, going for a Migdol. But where are the Willies? Where are the Willies? They are here, and they went the other way around, around the lake, which was the wrong one. And player will be able to kill quite a lot of them, and since he knows where they are, he will be able to kill this army as well, and this Migdol is not gonna get finished right now. Rangers is going to pass through the walls, so player has to be careful with some extra military, but he already has quite a lot of military academies here and pumping Myrmidons out, so he shouldn't be surprised by Rangers and he should be taking him on with a proper 1v1 battle. And hello! Where did those Swedish get in? Just through the enemy lines. And they are the ones trying to capture the TC. But come on, fan, you better be careful, as there's a lot of chariot archers and they will be killing your willies just without anything to stop them. As yep, player right now has to retreat as he didn't have enough army to stop what is happening here from Rangers, who is having heavy chariots and the baseline of upgrades. So not a good idea, fan here. The front TC from Fan hasn't been captured either, so that's a double fail on TSM's account, which is not all that great for them at this point. And well, it seems like Brigade together with Killboy are doing pretty well on the right side. Are they having enough upgrades? Baseline for red and green, also baseline, and they are also stealing gold from their opponents, and they are establishing a very neat beachhead at this point. Birdie right now going for some raiding, but that's about to stop as priests are making an appearance on the battlefield on the right. And well, Brigade also trying to make sure that TSMs are denied this TC as well, and they are playing this map as well as they can and to capture it also. And the strategy that TSMs have chosen might not be the correct one. They went for the boom but relinquished the TCs, and not even the mythical Zeus ×2 might be able to overcome the deficiency in the town centers here. That's going to be the question of the day. If somehow player can push through without the cheaper upgrades, as he's having none now, and he is getting killed by all those chariots, not really a good play for him on the left side. On the right, we see some extras from Killboy. A lot of piggies here. That's a pretty good army, but also these birdies are a pretty good counter on the battle boars. Sensui and Brigade are too mythic, but Brigade's Ragnarok, sorry, could be actually all it takes for Deities of Death to somehow push through, definitely through Fan and his ally player, because right now this is basically an even battle, slightly going into Deities of Death's favor, and if they put extra 80 units into the battle, some super good ones with proper upgrades as well, and flaming weapons, of course. Well, Fan still has ceasefire, so they might be able to defend against that, but still, they are not really in a position to defend against that. This battle is kinda normal, where Fan is defending himself 2 TCs against 7. So that's kinda not a battle that he's supposed to be winning or even holding, but he is pretty occasionally. And on the left, the player seems to be getting back on his feet and dealing with Rangers quite occasionally, even though Rangers has advanced into Mythic, and right now it's 3 versus 3 TCs, so yeah, basically it comes down to individual skill at this point, especially when a player went for the Hera, still not having any upgrades. But Sensui is trying to somehow wall his side of the map altogether and make for some safe markets possibly here, and he will soon discover that Brigade is at 6 TCs, and having one up of them, this is very open and should be easily takeable for their opponents. Brigade at 6 TCs though is a huge problem for his opponents, because you can see the brutal spam of all those Champion of Sarks. And I'm not exactly sure what TSMs are preparing to do about that, because all the TCs are right now taken, and they are just now hoping that the mythical Zeuses are going to do it for them, which they won't, because they don't have any population limit for that. So they need to capture this TC, and that needs to go for Fan. So he is going for another attempt, and Fan is also going for a Titan. And he is the one with the least TC, so if this doesn't get captured, that might put him out of the game altogether. Killboy right now going through there. So this will probably result in flaming weapons ×2 with Ragnarok and casting tears, so that they are protected against ceasefire, so that will be a bit of a micro here with god powers, and well, we'll see soon enough. Birdies from Sensui doing quite their job. Doing it quite well, but yeah, he can't really defend with 2 TCs against 9 TCs, and that's a huge advantage. And right now the only way for TSM's victory is through the left side, and if player can delete Rangers from the game just by himself, but Mercenaries are making an appearance as the trade-in is very easy for Rangers, and he is also having quite a lot of gold mines, and well, even though Killer Boy is still asking for food, player and Rangers is the fight to decide all. On the right side, Brighead has already made it through, and he is building Beachhead just at the doorstep of Sensui, so that's denying some extra gold. And actually, that was the last gold together with this one that is available for TSM. So if they can make something happen and capture the left side, they will be out of gold altogether. And well, they better be careful about that, because that might be a slight problem. Fan is right now at 3 TCs and finally getting properly into the game, trying to take down this one to put himself at 4 and Brigade at just 5. And well, Sensui will have to play quite a big game at this point, so that he can hold 2 players by himself. As Fan is right now engaged in just trying to make sure that he is not surprised near his home base, and he is capturing this TC by himself. On the left though, the Mercenaries are exactly what it takes for Rangers to repel player, as player can't just do anything against this double army of mythical ISIS, and since the ISIS has a pretty decent lineup of upgrades, and same cannot be definitely said for a player who is having just medium minions and not even the second line of upgrades, he is not doing all that well. And Shockwave has been cast on the right, trying to stop the onslaught of the Ulfsarks on the right. And also Portable Rams making an appearance. And well, Sensui is getting pushed off his gold, and this is aiming into not a good end for TSMs unless they can put up the Titan and protect it somehow. But you can see that Killer Boy is almost through, and with all this army and flaming weapons probably being cast together with Tyr's Winter, I kinda have a feeling that this Titan won't be coming up, and this will also result in... Okay, so that was a surprise for actually Dots, as he wasn't expecting this, and this will delete Killer Boy's army altogether. So that's a pretty decent play, and yep, you can see absolutely everything dead. So goodbye, just last guy gone, and yep, Killer Boy just now being pissed that he lost the battle here. He wasn't expecting that at all, but Brighead is going in for the Ragnarok, and even though he's just at 5 TCs, as Fan has finally killed the TC here, that's going to be a super tough fight. 5 TC army together with extra 8 heroes of Ragnarok. Well, that's going to be pretty tough. And I don't really think that he is going to need the Titan here from Rangers, or even the flaming weapons. Player right now has lost the opportunity to somehow turn the game around on the left side, as Rangers is right now pushing him with the help of the Mercenaries, but they shouldn't be able to get through. But at the same time, it's basically a stalemate, as there won't be any going forward for TSM player either. On the right side, Sensui has been able to somehow stop what is happening there, as yeah, Fanatics were pretty good without any upgrades, really, just the baseline, so that's not really enough. Ah, they are champions, okay, sorry, that was just on the heroes, you don't see it. They were able to kill all of those Ulfsarks, and they might be able to push back in. Well, can they eliminate somehow this Ragnarok? That's basically what it will come down to. And we have a Vortex at... I didn't really catch it, so I don't see any extra battles somewhere, but it was maybe just to make sure that all the units on the right side are actually at the same spot. And the Killer Boy is fighting himself at the left side. Flaming weapons, Winter. Yeah, yep, that's exactly what we were expecting, and that's exactly the death sentence for the TSMs. As I don't expect them to survive this half minute of flaming weapons and the Ragnarok their side. And this Titan, he will be killed. Well, but he might actually absorb a lot of damage from the Ragnarok, so let's just wait. But even if that happens, those 2 extra Titans from Dots, and considering this Titan gate will probably get killed through the heroes of Ragnarok and Fimbulwinter, I don't see how the TSMs can defend against those Titans then. So Sensui has lost a TC on the right side, and is right now being captured by Killer Boy. And well, if I am to be honest, this is kinda heading into the decider at this point, as there is not much happening somewhere else on the map. and they are not even going for a ceasefire here. TSMs, which is kind of understandable because the flaming weapons are almost gone and it wouldn't really serve any purpose. But they could still save this Titan Gate if they cast the ceasefire at this point. So they might still be having 2 Titans against them. So let's see if they go for it, or if they just let Brickhead use all of these heroes and let them be killed in an attempt, which is right now futile, in taking down the Titan Gate. Right now it seems like B is the right option, as the Bidons are just slaughtering the heroes of Ragnarok without any problem, and Fan is right now at 40 Cs, so this is a very important part of the game, because that's Mythical Zeus at 40 Cs, and while a player is still doing pretty well on the left, somehow actually trying to go through into Rangers, even though Rangers seems to be like controlling quarter of the map, he actually isn't all that much. And he is not really beating player here, and the game is very even at this point. And if TSMs play this correctly and preserve their Titans, they will basically nullify what is happening with the Titans on the left side from TSM pretty soon, from DoDs. So that's 2 versus 2 Titans without any problems, and the left one from Rangers is going to the left, probably trying to defeat a player altogether, and the second Titan from Brighead will probably go to the right. But it might not be the correct options, because both of these Titans seem to be converging on the same spot, and they are putting Killer Boy back at 3 TCs and normal position, but well, those heroes of Ragnarok are killing Titan quite a lot. Killer Boy is though, together with at least one of those fire giants, trying to put Fan back at 3 TCs, which might succeed, but also might not, and player is having quite a decent army at this point. Although I'm still kind of worried about not sufficient upgrades here, but he is going through, and all this volume from Rangers is pretty strategical, as it's delaying the attack from player quite a lot, and that gives player and Rangers rather quite a lot of time to actually defend against that. So that's a lot of yellow army from Fan, but it might be finding itself at the wrong spot, as he needs to defend on the left against these remaining heroes of Ragnarok, but with Fan building a lot of towers here, he might be having enough building damage to hold at least a moment, although at this point it doesn't really seem so. It doesn't really seem so, and well, Killer Boy is trying for some sneaky beachhead here at the back, trying to surprise the opponents as they are not aware that something like that is happening at this moment. This Titan is so far not doing anything substantial, so he should be going for at least the TCs, possibly here, and let them be captured by some of his opponents. And well, in the meantime, Fan has lost the 4th TC, which is a huge problem for him, as he is again under assault from 8 TCs, and that's not a battle he wants to win. So yep, 2 Titans are here on the right, so that means that Brigade shouldn't be really engaging with his own Titan. Whereas on the left, Rangers is trying to put a player out of his game, which will happen as soon as these gold miners are put out of commission, which they will be pretty soon. Rangers himself is under attack on his trade route, which is also pretty important and very good play by player. But he won't be probably able to finish because mercenaries are at the spot, and Rangers is very well noticing, together with some extra barracks, and well, he will take down just one, with still 1 remaining, and that's not enough army here, I think, to take care of it as well, especially with the extra mercenaries going into the fight. Well, Fan will be put pretty soon at just 2 TCs, as this Titan is not receiving any damage whatsoever. He's not really being paid attention to, and well, Killer Boy is again capturing the right side of the map. Well, Sensui is still at just 1 TC, and even though Yellow has killed one of those TCs from Big Head, putting him at some normal number at 4, he will be pretty soon at 5, as... oh, come on, you need to go a bit south. And yep, this is a pretty very bad spot, as Sensui is being hacked at the Titan. Oh well, and he is not fighting properly with the Brigheads, and he will be in a bit of a pickle, and they had to waste this bolt actually to make the battle even. So Fan is kinda all over the place at this point, having Myrmidons and his Paspists at the left, trying to somehow contain what Brigade is doing. The Titans are more or less dead, but on the left side, the Titan is still very much alive. He's fighting against those 4 heroes, or either 5 Odysseus here on the left as well. double in here. Okay, so that's 6 heroes just pummeling this Titan, doing pretty good job, but still, if they can't do it fast enough and let Fen retake the TC, it might be a problem. So Brigade is right now 1 TC down again, trying to recapture killed one here, and well, finally Sensui is trying to be not on 1 and going at 2 yet again. I'm kinda surprised that the game is still going on, considering the absolutely huge TC difference between Deities of Death and TSM. And Titan from Sensui is dead as well, so that's Brigade's and Sensui is dead. While this Titan at the bottom from Fan is still very much alive, and he might be able to do some damage. He might get into the base here and potentially kill this TC and a lot of houses here, which would be a problem for Killer Boy, as he would be housed quite decently. And if the Titan could actually get here, that would be a bit more problem than that. But Deities of Death seem to be well aware, so they are trying to go somewhere else and maybe make some walls here to actually stop the Titan. Well, not so far. Anyway, Fane is going with some extra wheelies onto the right side. Yeah, well, you will try to actually capture this gold so that it is protected for his teammates and himself. And on the right side, Sensui is trying to clean up. Not really successfully so far, but he will in just a matter of moments, I think, and it won't be really a problem. Here it's almost dead due to the palace and a few extra units, and in the middle, well, that's just lead battle and going pretty well for Brickhead, who is at 5 TCs, and Fan with 2 is having all kinds of troubles dealing with it. Right now though, he's back at 3, as they were able to defend against their opponent with the Titan, and well, Ranges' push will be soon over as the Titan is almost dead. All those heroes and Helepoli eating at its health, and once the TC will be taken down, the Titan is almost dead, so that's just a momentary problem for player who will be back at full health without problem. A bit of a idles from Killer Boy, and well, player going for some, well, creativity with some willies on the left, and he does have some hippicons, and he will be hoping for some base on the back. Temple, and yes, some surprise on both the water, which probably won't be happening due to the Lusarks here from Killer Boy. But they might be going for the temple here, and if this is still secret, okay, it won't be. So yeah, not a good job by player by hiding this, but a good job by Killer Boy trying to get rid of it. So the Titan at the top is killed. Titan from Fen is still doing damage, but right now he is not able to move anywhere. But he is at lead housing Killer Boy, who is at 2 TCs, so that should be a bit of a respite for his allies. Do we have some still bolt? No, we don't. So that's actually a very well alive Son of Osiris that's going to stick to this position for quite some time, and well, Rangers is going for a push with both siege ships and some extra colossi, or rather colossi catapults, sorry. But well, player has enough army here to actually kill some of these units here, but Son of Osiris could be a bit of a nuisance. On the right side, it seems like Ben will be able to defend this gold mine, but he has to build some extra military right there. And in the middle, it seems that green is slowly but surely going inside Fen's base, because there is not enough to actually defend against it, because Sensui together with Fen are having just 5 TCs, which is the aggregate of what Brigade has as well. This battle so far is kinda even, as the army composition from Brigade is pretty clever, having Throwing Axemen together with Raiding Cavalry and Jarls, as they are a pretty good combo against those Argusi together with the champion Myrmidons at this point. It seems like Killer Boy is the one to recapture some of the TCs here from Brigade, so Brigade is in the sole one with all the TCs in the game, and well, yep, player already at 3 again, and Titan Gate being built at the left, and I'm still waiting for some of the underworld passages being built by TSMs or other cars, because they definitely need to stop this, as they won't have the Titan themselves. And well, where is the underworld passage going at this point? Where did it go? Ah, here it went from Fen. And he should be having enough army to stop this Titan Gate from being built. Not too much problem. And where is the other side of it? Here, right inside his base. And yep, that's definitely a raiding party or the Titan Gate. This this gives us a little time to actually look what's happening all over the map, where a brigade is trying to make a wall here, probably hoping to stop a trade route which isn't here. It's slightly in a different spot, but Sensui should be finally getting rid of this because it's eating his pop and he needs to help Fen to somehow take down this TC and level up the problems in the population limit. But I have to repeat that Tsunami-clan are doing insanely good job, being at a huge TC disadvantage the whole game and still being very much alive in it. And I have to say that's not only because of mythical Zeuses, they are just doing good decisions and taking the right battles at the right times. On the left, player is trying to somehow make a lot of walls to protect himself and stop rangers from having an easy attack, but he is having quite a lot of catapults at this point, some siege thingies, but countered by hammer ships, but otherwise it's just a whole lot of chariot archers and that's about it. Otherwise some interesting stuff happening somewhere. And this TC is quite free for the taking, I would have to say. Brigade is right now switching from the middle to the right, trying to probably put Fen out of position altogether. Yeah, the post is pretty random because he didn't say anything. Seems like they are fixing like... well, Killer Boy just nothing, he has 13k gold. Well, that's pretty nice. And still quite a lot of gold mines inside the middle of the map. So it's not like really anybody needs it. Quite a lot in Ranger's power. So he shouldn't be having any problems with the economy whatsoever. And on the right, also some extra gold mines. TSMs are the ones with the problem with the gold, and they need to secure this mine on the right, as well as this one. And if they can, somehow push Rangers back on the left and capture this one as well. And right now it seems player will be the one pushing forward with the left side, and well, on the bottom, yeah, that's the raiding party trying to somehow stop what is happening here. And well, since they don't have enough army here, and I don't really see any help coming in time anytime soon, possibly just the mercenaries here, and well, they shouldn't be taking, or rather protecting the Titan Gate enough, as all those guys should be killing the Alfsarks first without any problem. And yeah, this is right now full head-on battle, and hoping that Rangers' mercenaries will arrive on the spot in time to protect what is happening here. But with the Colossi also being here, I don't really think that's going to be the case. So that's a pretty good, important spot, as if TSM somehow didn't stop it from happening, that would have been pretty bad, and they don't really even care if this underworld passage goes down, because they still have another one. And well, I have to say this lag is getting annoying. Somebody is getting, and it seems to be from TSM lag at this point. Hopefully it gets better in just a moment. And this Titan Gate is down, we're just going to switch into the other side of the battlefield. Yep, goodbye Titan, so that's a slight victory for TSMs. And well, on the right side, Brigade, just as we have seen, has switched onto the right side from the middle, and right now will be fighting against Fen and trying to put him from the position on this side of the map, where he was trying to take down the TC and somehow level up the population deficit. So far it is not happening, and Sensui is just 2 TCs, not having enough units to help his teammate. And well, is this maybe a window of opportunity for Fen to push into the middle? Well, with just 2 TCs, I don't really think so, because he has just lost to all those siege towers, or rather siege ships, together with catapults, and it seems like the player is not doing quite well enough to engage with his opponent Rangers to stop him from taking down the TC. That is very crucial at this point for Fen to hold the right side of the map. The player is using all of his wheelies to somehow stop what is happening here through some towers, but that's not really happening right now. And well, this is some naval Oxybelis, and he will be aiming to do basically the exact same thing as Rangers is doing himself. And he will try to put out of commission this Migdol and those towers also. On the left, we see that the underworld passage is already gone and not much else is happening there. And otherwise, on the right side, fence presence is pretty much gone, with red not really in a good position, so it's just up to Sensui somehow defend him with a lot of palaces here, and he needs to defend the right side. Again, still not finishing up, and he needs to finish it as soon as possible, but the stone wall is pretty well played. He's having quite a lot of hit points and will be an obstacle to overcome for TSMs. It seems like Killer is switching his battle from the right side to the left, because on the right the brigade is by 5 TCs, able to hold the position himself, and if Killer can help Rangers on the left quite enough, that should be just good to go. Sven right now will be denied the 3rd TC as this isn't going all that well for TSMs, and I don't think that player has enough to hold both of these players at the same time. And yes, TSMs see that this map is lost to them and resign. They definitely underestimated the power of the TCs on this map, and they just let dots take everything they wanted. And yep, the boom wasn't the correct decision. Wasn't the correct decision, and relinquished map control cost them the game. Even though they were in it for quite some time, it was just a slow death just waiting to happen. Well, GG, and we are at 1-1. So Rangers having the best score. Well, yeah, why not? He was fighting the right battles and wasn't really all that horribly inconvenienced by anyone. Pretty decent amount of gold here and resources distributed. And civilian units hide at 130 with 3 TCs. Well, that's the reason why he wasn't alone able to push through player actually, and was just stalling basically. Yeah, pretty nice game this was. Pretty nice game. Yeah, pretty insane amount of resources here for Dots and even Sensui. And yep, 15,000 gold. Oh, Killer Boy. Alright, GG.